What's up, everybody? Welcome to another awesome episode of Campus Chatter. I'm Tegan Shahoon.
And I'm Chris Guerra. We have some great topics today. We're covering topics in the NFL, NASCAR, WWE, and MLB. So buckle up, guys. We got a great show.
And as always, if you want to share your opinions with us, please feel free to like the UCM digital media page or even send a message to the man in charge himself, Professor Joe Moore, at jhmoore@ucmo.edu. Let's not waste any more time, Chris. Let's get this show on the road.
I'm ready.
You're listening to Campus Chatter, brought to you by the University of Central Missouri on UCM Radio, The Beat.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. So we're going to start things off by talking about one of Chris's favorite topics, of course, the NFL. So, Chris, like we know, the NFL is just getting it just finished its season a couple weeks ago. Go Patriots. But they're moving on now. We're getting ready for the draft coming up here in about a month or so, a couple months.
Yeah.
Obviously, everybody's eyes are towards the combine and the prospects that are coming up. And so when it comes to that, you got to think all the teams are wanting the top guys. All the teams are wanting the big studs coming out of college or anything like that. If you're if you're picking a team or you're picking for a team, what are your biggest criteria?
The biggest criteria, you actually look through and see what positions you have holes in, and you basically focus on those. But you also you look at the actual top prospects when it comes to that point in the draft where you were placed. Sometimes a lot of teams, they tend to go for the big name players or whoever's on the board at the time.
So if you're one of these guys, if you're one of the top guys in an organization, I know it's a little early and all that, but who are you looking at this point? Like, who's somebody that you might have your eye on?
The biggest position in the last few years have always been quarterback. Yeah. And there's been a lot of, quarterbacks have been drafted in the first round, and some of them kind of spud out, some of them kind of, stuck in. But
now I got to think, if you're looking for someone to draft and you got all these collegiate players, especially like national champions and things like that, you got to think those guys might be top priority.
Yeah, of course they are. But it all comes down to the combine, like we're talking. And it gives them, it's a stage where these athletes can actually show even more to these teams, to even put them on the, to aim for them when the draft comes up and put them on the boards, basically.
So obviously being a top guy in college doesn't necessarily guarantee you a great spot in the draft. You got to think, from what you're telling me, a guy who's maybe projected at like 100th overall could jump up out of nowhere and take the top spot.
Yeah, we've learned lately, as of lately too. We even go back in the past with Tom Brady. Yeah, he was drafted in the 7th round. He didn't even make it up to the first round. Right. So not every player that's in the first round is going to be the make it player of that team. It could be anybody wherever it goes in the draft.
So I guess what you're saying is we should really keep our eyes out for just anybody in that draft because you can always have a sleeper.
Yeah,
in those roles.
It tends to happen almost every year. I guarantee you that.
That's fair. So getting ready and looking towards that, there's not much to really know of right now. We got to wait and see. So we're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back. When we come back, we've got free agency to talk about here in the NFL. Stick around.
I choose red for unlimited possibilities.
I choose red because my family is less than an hour away, but I still get to be independent.
I get to apply my classroom experience to my everyday life. That's why I chose red. Okay, that'll work.
Why do you choose red?
Choose red.
Choose red.
Choose the University of Central Missouri.
Choose red. Kidding, that was a joke.
Who says we can't know how a Civil War soldier felt, or what it's like to change the rules of the game? Ken Burns pioneered a new way to tell America's story. And only PBS gives filmmakers like him a place to push the boundaries of what TV can do. Give to this PBS station so stories like these are available now and for generations to come.
Welcome back, everybody. Moving on a little bit here towards within the NFL. We're going to start talking about, of course, being in Missouri, the Kansas City Chiefs coming up with their next season, as well as free agency and how those two are going to collide. So, Chris, you being the Chiefs fan here, I got to ask you, disappointing season this year, or was it not bad?
It's very optimistic, to be honest.
Okay.
There's a lot of holes, as we could clearly see. And, the offensive line struggled in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And, of course, there was no run threat either, to be honest. I mean, the run kind of struggled this year.
Okay, so here's my question about that. I remember being a kid, growing up when the Chiefs were just terrible. And it's one of the reasons why I'm not a Chiefs fan. They weren't the team. Would you say they're getting closer to becoming the team? Or are they still a ways away? Because they've made some great progress. I mean, you can't deny that. But every time that they get into the semifinals, we've talked about this a little bit, into the playoffs, they get into the semifinals and they look amazing and everyone's optimistic, and then it just goes downhill.
Yeah, looking this year when they played the Steelers, you could actually see none of the receivers could catch the ball. It almost looked like they were afraid and that they were nervous at this stage.
And
they weren't really ready.
Yeah, and I gotta say, honestly, watching them again, I'm not a Chiefs fan, so this isn't anything but just an outsider looking in. But they don't look like a team that's ready to win a Super Bowl.
They got the pieces. I mean, they just need to continue building. Of course, they have Alex Smith, but they're still trying to determine his contract situation right now. They signed a running back, C.J. Spiller.
Okay.
They actually released Jamal Charles yesterday.
Yeah.
And a big signing too that they had just did yesterday too was Eric Berry. They signed him to a 6-year contract, $78 million. So I mean, they got the pieces. I mean, that's defense there too. They have this big rookie, Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
He made a big coming in this year. I mean, there wasn't a lot expected out of him, but he actually showed up.
Well, I like that you're bringing up though the contracts and signing all that.
Yeah,
because we know free agency is coming up, and right now there are some big names out there that could get picked up, and I want to read a couple of these to you and see what you say in terms. So it's kind of like a game of go no go. I want to read you a name, and then you tell me whether you think they'll go with them or if they won't go with them. Because I want to see, and then just let me know why. So let's start off, first of all, Le'Veon Bell from the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Thing about him, though, it would be nice to pick him up, but he's actually franchise tagged right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. No teams can bid on him right now, but
okay,
it would be a great pickup. Don't I'm not going to lie. He's a great running back.
Yeah. So obviously no go. What about Kawan Short from the Carolina Panthers?
Kawan Short. They actually do need help on the defensive line, so he would actually come in handy because of the fact that Dontari Poe is now a free agent, which was the big nose tackle that Chiefs had, and we've seen him. He's the heaviest player to score a touchdown. He's the heaviest player to throw for a touchdown. So he's a very big commodity. So Short would be great to fill in for that defensive spot.
Well, not to mention he's probably one of the most disruptive down-to-down defensive tackles in the entire league.
Right.
I mean, he knows what to do out there. And we kind of saw, though, the Chiefs, their defensive efforts kind of got them in trouble in that game against the Steelers. I mean, it was that holding call at the very end that cost them a touchdown, cost them tying the game.
Basically hurting themselves.
Yeah, so is it really they need help with defense, or is it more they just need to be more cautious?
Well, it comes to the whole defense, too. You also got to remember they came into the playoffs and that game without their leading tackle, Derek Johnson, at linebacker. He's been out for injury, but there were some pieces that weren't really there that were.
Can I play devil's advocate for a second and just say,
right?
You're saying they have all the pieces, but they weren't all there, and their best players are all out and everything. Let's be fair. The Patriots have Tom Brady and Gronk. Those are the two names you hear about the most. Gronk was out during the end of the playoffs and the Super Bowl, and they still won. So can you really still play that whole thing of their best players were injured. They just couldn't get it together. Is
Well,
that really a fair thing when other teams are able to clearly do it?
I'm not saying that was the main reason they lost.
Okay.
Because they actually they actually had some big wins in that season when some of their players were down. Derek Johnson was out, and after the whole after they lost to the Steelers like 43-14 in week 4, they came out and won 8 and lost 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then around the time Derek Johnson got injured, they still won games against like the Broncos and a really good, strong division of the AFC West. They swept.
Well, and that's a fair point, but at the same time, if they're still having so many issues with their defense and people getting injured and all that, if that's really the thing that's affecting them, like you did say they
Right.
were missing pieces. If that keeps happening, can they ever actually